You pull into the driveway after a quick trip to the grocery store. Nothing out of the ordinary. You open the trunk, grab the handles of two plastic bags, and start walking toward the front door. But halfway up the steps, you feel a familiar strain in your forearms. The bags feel just a little heavier than they used to. You might brush it off. You might tell yourself you are just tired today, or that the cashier packed too many cans in one bag. We naturally find a logical reason to explain away these tiny shifts. But what if those heavy grocery bags are actually trying to tell you something else? Something that has nothing to do with being tired and everything to do with a silent change happening beneath the surface. Today we are looking at 7 quiet signs that your body is changing its internal structure. These are not signs of illness. They are simply whispers from your muscles asking for a different kind of attention now that you have crossed into your 70s. Getting older is not a sudden event. It is a slow and quiet process that happens in the background of a busy life. You wake up, you make your coffee, you read the paper or check your tablet, you go about your day. The person you see in the mirror looks like you. Your mind is as sharp as ever. You still have the same opinions, the same sense of humor, and the same memories. But the physical vessel carrying you through the world is quietly renegotiating its terms. For most of our lives, our bodies operate on a surplus of strength. When you are in your 40s or 50s, you do not think about how you stand up. You just stand up. You do not think about the mechanics of opening a tight jar of pasta sauce. You just grip it and twist. Your muscles are dense and eager to work. But as we pass 60, and especially as we move into our 70s, the rules begin to change. The body becomes incredibly efficient, and sometimes that efficiency works against us. Think of your body like a cautious accountant. When you are younger, the accountant is happy to keep a large staff of muscle cells on the payroll. But as you get older, the accountant starts looking for ways to cut costs. Muscle is expensive to maintain. It burns a lot of energy. If the accountant notices that you are not using all that muscle to its maximum capacity, it starts letting those cells go. It is a natural process. It happens to everyone, but the rate at which it happens can make a massive difference in how your daily life feels. Many people assume that losing muscle means looking visibly thinner or feeling completely weak. But that is the tricky part. You might step on the scale and see the exact same number you have seen for the last 10 years. Your waistline might be the same. Your clothes might fit the same way they always have. But underneath the skin, the composition is shifting. The dense muscle fibers are quietly being replaced by softer tissue. You do not notice it by looking in the mirror. You notice it in the small movements of your day. Let us go back to that moment on the front steps with the grocery bags. That brings us to the first hidden sign. It is not just about the weight of the bags. It is about your grip. Your hands are the connection point between your strength and the world around you. For decades, your grip has been an afterthought. But lately, you might notice a subtle hesitation when you try to open a new jar. You might find yourself tapping the lid with a butter knife or running it under hot water before even trying to twist it. You might also notice it when pulling open a heavy door at a restaurant or a store. The door feels like it has a stiffer hinge than it should. You pull it, but your feet have to brace just a little bit harder against the floor. This is not because the doors are getting heavier. And it is not because you are suddenly weak. It is because the muscles in your forearms and your wrists are the first ones the cautious accountant decides to downsize. We rarely do exercises for our hands and wrists, so they are the first to slowly lose their density. When you notice this, you might feel a brief flash of frustration. You might think you are just losing your touch. but it is a very specific signal. It tells you that the muscle fibers responsible for sudden bursts of tension are thinning out. It is a quiet alarm bell, and it is entirely normal, but it is also something you can pay attention to without panicking. Now let us walk inside the house. You put the groceries away. You walk into the living room and sit down in your favorite chair. It is comfortable. It is familiar. You watch a television show or read a book for an hour. Then the phone rings, or you need to get up to check the oven. Pay attention to exactly how you get out of that chair. This is the second hidden sign. 5 or 10 years ago, you probably leaned forward and simply stood up using the power of your legs. Your thighs and your core did all the work. But watch yourself the next time you get up from a deep sofa. Do you automatically reach for the armrests? Do you place your hands firmly on the cushions and push down with your arms to give your legs a head start? Most people do this without even thinking about it. Your brain is incredibly smart. It knows exactly how much power is available in your leg muscles. If the brain senses that the large muscles in your thighs have lost a little bit of their explosive strength, it automatically recruits your arms to help. You do not make a conscious decision to use your hands. Your nervous system just makes the adjustment for you. This is a brilliant survival mechanism. But it is also a very clear sign that the muscles in your lower body are fading faster than you might realize. The thighs and the glutes are the largest muscle groups in the human body. They are your engines. They power your ability to walk upstairs, to step off a curb, and to catch yourself if you trip. When these muscles begin to shrink, they do not hurt. They just quietly ask for help from your arms. Many older Americans brush this off. They say the chair is just very low. Or they say my knees are a little stiff today, so I am using my arms. It is easy to blame the furniture or the joints. But more often than not, it is the slow departure of muscle mass. The power to push your own body weight straight up against gravity is one of the most important abilities we have. When that starts to require a manual override from your arms, it is time to listen to what the body is saying. There is a reason we resist admitting these things to ourselves. Admitting that we are losing strength feels like admitting defeat. We have been taught that independence is tied to physical capability. The idea of asking for help or struggling with basic tasks goes against our spirit of self-reliance. We want to be the ones helping others, not the ones needing a hand. So when we feel that slight struggle, we ignore it. We adapt. We buy tools to help open jars. We avoid sitting in the low chairs. We take fewer trips to the car and carry lighter bags. We shrink our world just a tiny bit to match our shrinking strength. And because we adapt so well, we never really confront the fact that the muscle is leaving us. But understanding this process is not about fear. It is about taking back the steering wheel. You cannot fix a problem if you are busy pretending it does not exist. The human body is remarkably responsive. Even in your 70s, the body is willing to build new muscle if you give it the right instructions. But first you have to recognize the signs. You have to be honest with yourself about what is changing. Let us look at another subtle change. This is the third sign, and it happens right in your bedroom. You are getting dressed in the morning. You put on a sweater or a button-down shirt that you have owned for a few years. It is a familiar piece of clothing. But as you button the cuffs, you notice that the sleeves feel a bit looser around your upper arms. The fabric hangs slightly differently than it did last winter. Your first instinct might be to step on the scale. You look down, and the needle has not moved. You are still the exact same weight. This can be incredibly confusing. How can your clothes feel loose if you have not lost a single pound? This brings us back to the cautious accountant inside your body. Muscle is dense. It takes up less space than fat, but it weighs more. If you are losing muscle mass, but maintaining the exact same body weight, it means the muscle is being replaced by something else. Usually, it is being replaced by softer tissue. Your overall body mass remains stable, but your shape subtly changes. The firmness in your upper arms or your shoulders slowly diminishes. Many people actually feel a false sense of security when they see the scale holding steady. They think as long as my weight is good, I must be healthy. But the scale is a very blunt instrument. It cannot tell you the difference between a pound of vibrant, capable muscle and a pound of inactive tissue. The way your clothes fit, especially around your arms and your thighs, is a much more accurate measuring tool. When you notice this looseness, it is easy to dismiss it as just getting older. We expect our skin to change and our bodies to soften. But the loss of that firm muscle under the skin is not just a cosmetic issue. Those muscles in your shoulders and upper arms are what allow you to reach up to a high shelf, to pull a heavy winter coat out of the closet, or to catch a falling glass before it hits the floor. These first three signs, the heavier grocery bags, the push-off from the chair, and the loose sleeves, are all connected. They are all quiet adaptations. They happen so slowly that you might go months or even years without truly recognizing them. But there is a danger in letting these changes go unnoticed. When we lose muscle, we do not just lose strength. We lose our armor. Muscle is what protects our bones. It is what stabilizes our joints when we walk on uneven ground. It is the metabolic engine that helps regulate our blood sugar and keeps our energy levels steady throughout the day. When that armor starts to thin out, we become more vulnerable to the unexpected. A slight stumble on a rug, a misstep on the porch, or a sudden need to move quickly out of the way. These are the moments when we rely on our muscle reserves. If the reserves are depleted, the outcome of a simple stumble can be drastically different. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to empower you with awareness. The body gives us signals because it wants us to respond. It is never too late to change the instructions we give to our bodies. But to do that, we have to continue peeling back the layers of our daily habits. There are 4 more hidden signs we need to explore. These next signs go even deeper into the way you move, the way you feel, and the subtle ways your body tries to protect you from its own diminishing strength. We will look at how your balance might be tricking you, and why a simple walk around the neighborhood might feel fundamentally different than it used to. We left off talking about the subtle ways your body adapts to protect itself when muscle begins to fade. It is a brilliant system, but it is also a master illusionist. The brain is so good at compensating for physical changes that it often tricks us into thinking nothing is wrong at all. We just assume we are getting wiser and more careful. But that feeling of being careful is exactly where our next hidden sign is waiting. Imagine you are standing in the kitchen. You are at the counter, preparing a sandwich or washing a coffee cup. Suddenly the phone rings in the hallway, or a family member calls your name from the living room. Think about exactly what happens in the next 2 seconds. 10 years ago, you would have simply planted one foot and pivoted your entire body around to look. It was one fluid motion, a quick spin on a dime. Now pay attention to how you make that exact same turn today. This is the 4th hidden sign. Instead of a smooth pivot, you likely take 3 or 4 small shuffling steps in a tiny circle to turn yourself around. Your feet stay very close to the floor. You widen your stance just a fraction. You turn your body in careful increments rather than one continuous sweep. When you do this, you probably do not feel weak. You just feel like you are being safe. You might even tell yourself that moving too fast at this age is how people fall. And that is partially true. But we have to ask why the brain suddenly feels the need to be so overly cautious about a simple turn. The answer lies in your core. The muscles in your abdomen, your lower back, and the sides of your torso are your natural steering wheel. They are the stabilizers that keep you upright when your weight shifts from one leg to the other. When you are younger, these muscles are tight and responsive. They act like strong, thick rubber bands that catch you instantly if you lean too far. But as you pass 70, the cautious accountant in your body often starts letting go of these deep stabilizing muscles because they are not challenged very often in a comfortable modern lifestyle. When the brain senses that the rubber bands are getting a little thinner, it changes the rules of movement. It says we no longer have the core strength to catch ourselves if this pivot goes wrong, so we are going to widen the base and take small steps instead. The shuffling turn is not a sign of bad joints. It is a direct workaround for fading core muscle. Your nervous system is managing the decline so smoothly that you just mistake it for your own good sense. Let us take this idea of being careful and walk it outside. It is a nice afternoon, and you decide to take a walk around your neighborhood. You have walked this exact same route hundreds of times. You know every crack in the pavement and every turn of the sidewalk. This brings us to the fifth hidden sign, and it is one of the most common things people completely ignore. As you are walking, you might occasionally hear the front of your shoe scrape against the concrete. It is just a tiny scuffing sound. You might instinctively look down, thinking that the sidewalk panel is lifted or that a tree root has pushed up the pavement. You might even blame the comfortable rubber-soled shoes you are wearing. But most of the time, the pavement is perfectly flat. That little scuffing sound is a message from the lower half of your legs. Think about the mechanics of walking. To take a step, you have to pull your toes upward so your foot clears the ground as it swings forward. The muscles responsible for lifting your toes sit right on the front of your shins. We almost never think about them. We never train them, but they work constantly, every time we take a step. When muscle mass begins to slip away too fast, these shin muscles are highly vulnerable. They lose their endurance. For the first 10 minutes of your walk, they might do their job perfectly, but by minute 15 or 20, they get tired. They stop lifting the toe quite as high. It is a difference of maybe half an inch, but half an inch is all it takes for the rubber of your shoe to catch the concrete. You might also notice that the rhythm of your walk has changed. You used to have a bit of a bounce in your step, a natural spring that propelled you forward. Now your stride might be a little flatter. Your feet stay closer to the ground, and your steps have become slightly shorter. If you walk with a friend or a spouse, you might find yourself falling half a step behind without even realizing it. You are not out of breath. Your heart is fine, but your legs simply do not want to reach as far forward as they used to. This happens because the calf muscles, which provide that forward pushing spring, are losing their density. Without that spring, the body has to rely more on the hip flexors to physically drag the leg forward. It is a much less efficient way to walk. It makes a 20-minute stroll feel like a chore rather than a relief. We often mask this by saying we are just taking our time today and enjoying the fresh air, but beneath the surface, the muscles are slowly giving up their territory. Now let us go back inside your house and face one of the biggest daily challenges, the staircase. Moving your own body weight straight up against gravity is the ultimate truth teller when it comes to muscle mass. This brings us to the sixth hidden sign, and it is all about how you manage the climb. Think about how you walked up a flight of stairs in your 50s. You probably kept your chest up and you stepped from one foot to the next in a steady, rhythmic pace. Your leg muscles did the pushing. The handrail was just there for a light touch in case you lost your balance. Now watch yourself the next time you go upstairs. Do you grab the handrail tightly and actively pull yourself up? More importantly, look at your posture. Do you lean your head and your shoulders significantly forward over your knees before you push up to the next step? This forward lean is a fascinating trick the body plays. When the heavy muscles in your thighs and your glutes lose their power, the brain realizes that stepping straight up is going to be incredibly difficult. So it tells you to lean your upper body forward. By doing this, you are creating momentum. You are essentially throwing your body weight up and forward over the stair, rather than pressing it straight up. You are outsourcing the work. Instead of making the muscle do the heavy lifting, you are using gravity and momentum to swing yourself up the stairs. And when you combine that forward lean with a strong pull on the handrail, you can get up the stairs without your legs having to work very hard at all. It is an incredibly clever adaptation, but it comes with a heavy cost. When you stop asking your thigh muscles to do the hard work of lifting you, the cautious accountant takes notice. The body says we are not using these thigh muscles for the stairs anymore because the arms and momentum are doing the job, so we can safely let more of this muscle tissue go. It becomes a self-fulfilling cycle. The weaker the legs get, the more you rely on momentum. And the more you rely on momentum, the weaker the legs become. You might also feel a strange sensation in your thighs halfway up the staircase. Some people describe it as having lead legs. Your legs suddenly feel incredibly heavy, as if you are moving through water. That heavy feeling is not a sign that your legs weigh more. It is a sign that the remaining muscle fibers are working at absolute maximum capacity, just to perform a basic daily function. We rarely talk about these things because they do not hurt. A shuffling turn does not send you to the doctor. A scuffed shoe on the sidewalk does not show up on a blood test. Pulling yourself up the stairs feels completely normal when you do it every single day. We accept these workarounds as the natural tax we pay for getting older. But there is a profound difference between natural aging and accelerated muscle loss. Natural aging means things might get a little slower. Accelerated muscle loss means the foundational structure of your mobility is quietly eroding while you are busy adapting to the changes. When we let momentum and furniture do the work of our muscles, we are also leaving our joints completely unprotected. Your muscles are the shock absorbers for your bones. When the muscle goes, the impact of every step, every sit, and every turn goes straight into the cartilage of your knees, your hips, and your lower back. Many people who complain about severe joint pain are actually suffering from the downstream effects of severe muscle loss. The joint is screaming because the muscle has left the building. We have peeled back 6 layers so far. We have looked at your hands, your living room chair, your clothes, your kitchen turns, your neighborhood walks, and your staircase. All of these are physical workarounds. But there is one more sign we need to talk about. And this one is different. It is not about how you move. It is about how you feel when you wake up and how your energy behaves as the day goes on. The final sign is perhaps the most invisible of all, but it has the biggest impact on your daily happiness. We have spent a lot of time looking at the physical mechanics of your day. We have looked at how your hands grip a jar, how your legs manage a staircase, and how your feet navigate a sidewalk. But this brings us to the 7th and final hidden sign, and this one is completely invisible. You cannot see it in the mirror, and you cannot measure it by watching how you turn around in the kitchen. You can only feel it. Think about your energy levels throughout an average day. You wake up. You have your morning coffee. You feel reasonably good. You do a few chores, maybe run an errand, or do some gardening. But right around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a profound wave of exhaustion washes over you. This is not just the normal desire to sit down and rest for a minute. This is a heavy, sinking feeling. Your arms feel like lead. Your brain feels a little foggy. You feel like a battery that has suddenly dropped to 0%. When this happens, most people look for an external reason. You might tell yourself that you did not sleep very well last night. You might blame the heavy lunch you just ate. Or you might just fall back on that familiar phrase and say, well, I am just getting older. I cannot go all day like I used to. It is incredibly easy to blame fatigue on age or sleep. But very often that sudden afternoon crash is actually a direct symptom of losing muscle mass too fast. To understand why, we have to look at what muscle actually does when it is not lifting heavy things. Most of us think of muscle simply as the tissue that helps us move. But inside your body, your muscles act as your primary metabolic engine. They are your battery packs. When you eat a meal, your body breaks that food down into energy. Your muscles are the largest storage tanks for that energy. They absorb the fuel and hold on to it, releasing it steadily throughout the day so you can stay active and alert. When the cautious accountant in your body starts downsizing your muscle tissue, you are not just losing physical strength. You are shrinking your fuel tanks. You literally have less physical space to store energy. So when you eat, your body does not have a large, capable engine to absorb and manage that fuel. Instead of a steady burn of energy, you get quick spikes and sudden drops. That heavy, exhausted feeling at 2 in the afternoon is often the feeling of a shrunken battery pack running out of charge. The muscle that used to carry you smoothly from breakfast to dinner is no longer there to stabilize your energy. Your heart is fine. Your lungs are fine. But the engine that manages your daily stamina has simply gotten too small for the demands of the day. You might also notice this when you wake up in the morning. You might sleep for a full 8 hours. You stay in bed all night. But when you put your feet on the floor, you do not feel restored. Your body feels stiff and strangely depleted right from the start. That is because even while you sleep, your body relies on the metabolic health of your muscles to repair tissues and maintain your internal systems. When the muscle mass is low, the body struggles to perform that overnight maintenance efficiently. This is the hidden tax of accelerated muscle loss. It steals your vibrancy. It makes your world smaller, not just because you cannot lift heavy things, but because you simply do not have the endurance to say yes to the things you want to do. You start declining invitations. You take shorter walks. You stop starting new projects around the house because you know you will run out of steam halfway through. But here is the most important part of this entire conversation. This is the moment where we pivot from observation to empowerment. If you have recognized yourself in any of these 7 signs, the heavy groceries, the push from the chair, the loose sleeves, the shuffling turns, the scuffed shoes, the forward lean on the stairs, or the afternoon energy crashes, I want you to take a deep breath. None of these signs mean that you are failing. None of these signs mean that it is too late. They are simply feedback. They are messages from your body telling you that the current routine is no longer enough to keep the cautious accountant from cutting corners. The human body is wonderfully, endlessly adaptable. It is never too late to change the instructions you are sending it. The accountant is perfectly willing to rehire those muscle cells and rebuild that strength, but only if you create the demand for it. Your body will not build muscle just because you want it to. It will only build muscle if it believes you absolutely need it to survive your daily environment. You do not need to join a loud, crowded gym. You do not need to become a bodybuilder or buy expensive equipment. You simply need to stop taking the easy way out of your daily movements. You have to start interrupting the workarounds. The next time you sit in your living room chair, try to stand up without using your arms. It might be hard. You might only be able to do it once. But that one effort sends a massive electrical signal from your brain to your thigh muscles. It says we need this tissue, wake it up. The next time you walk up the stairs, try to keep your chest tall. Do not lean forward. Let your legs bear the weight. Keep your hand near the rail for safety, but do not use it to pull yourself up. Make the muscle do the work. When you go for a walk, focus on lifting your toes. Focus on pushing off with your calves. Stop shuffling when you turn around in the kitchen and practice making smooth, controlled pivots. Every single time you choose the slightly harder way to move, you are depositing money back into your physical bank account. You are telling your body that you are not done yet. You are telling the accountant that the muscle is strictly necessary for your lifestyle. And you also have to give your body the raw materials it needs to rebuild. As we cross into our 70s, our bodies become less efficient at processing the protein from our food. The steak or the eggs you ate in your 40s did a lot of work. Today, you might need to be a little more intentional about making sure you are getting enough high-quality nutrition to give those muscles the building blocks they are asking for. Aging is an unavoidable reality, but frailness is often a choice. It is a slow, creeping choice made up of 1,000 tiny concessions. We choose the easy chair. We choose the momentum on the stairs. We accept the scuffing shoes as normal. But you can make a different choice starting today. You can choose to be the active architect of your own physical independence. You have lived through decades of challenges. You have built a life, a family, and a history. You have earned the right to enjoy these years with strength and dignity. Listen to the whispers of your body. Do not ignore the heavy bags or the loose sleeves. See them for what they are. They are invitations to step back into the driver's seat. Take your time. Be patient with yourself. But do not surrender your strength simply because another year has passed on the calendar. Your muscles are waiting for your command. Give them a reason to stay.